Welcome back to Food for Thought. I'm your host, Jack, and today we continue our C.S. Lewis miniseries. The title of today's show is God is not renovating your life, He's demolishing it. In episode 2, we confront the hard truth C.S. Lewis understood well. God is not interested in renovating your life, He's rebuilding it from the ground up. What feels like disruption, loss, or dismantling may actually be the beginning of transformation. Because when God intends to make you new, He doesn't patch the cracks, He tears down what cannot last. Let me start the episode with another quote from C.S. Lewis from the book Mere Christianity. It reads: Imagine yourself as a living house. God comes in to rebuild that house. At first, perhaps, you can understand what He is doing. But presently, He starts knocking the house about in a way that hurts abominably and does not seem to make sense. That image is unsettling for a reason. Because most of us didn't invite God into our lives to tear things down. We invited Him in to fix a few problems: patch a roof, unclog a drain, maybe repaint a room or two. But Lewis says God has something much more drastic in mind. He didn't come to renovate your life, He came to rebuild it. And rebuilding always looks like destruction before it looks like progress. Today I want to talk about why faith often feels like it makes things worse before it makes them better, and why that doesn't mean something else has gone wrong. It may mean something has finally gone right. Part 1: The Renovation Fantasy. Have you ever thought, God should improve my life, not disrupt it? Well, most people come to faith with an unspoken assumption: God will help me become a better version of who I already am. More patient, less anxious, slightly kinder, spiritually upgraded, but still recognizably me. This is the renovation model of faith. You keep the foundation, you keep the floor plan, you just let God help with the details. And honestly, that sounds reasonable. Who wouldn't want divine assistance without divine interruption? But the problem is that Christianity doesn't claim your life is basically sound with a few cosmetic issues. It claims the structure itself is compromised. Jesus doesn't say, let me help you reach your potential. He says, you must be born again. That's not renovation language, that's replacement language. And this is where people start getting uncomfortable, because rebirth implies something has to die. Part 2: Lewis's house that won't stop shaking. Lewis's metaphor works because it names the experience so many people quietly have but don't know how to articulate. At first, God's work makes sense. You stop doing a few destructive things, your priorities shift a little, your life feels cleaner, clearer. You think, this is good, I can work with this. And then, without warning, something gets ripped out that you weren't planning to touch: relationship, an identity, a coping mechanism, a dream you baptized as God's will. Lewis says God starts knocking the house about in a way that hurts abominably. And here's the key line people skip over: what on earth is He up to? That question is the moment of crisis. Because if God were merely a renovator, this would be malpractice. But if He's an architect with a different plan entirely, it makes terrible sense, and perfect sense at the same time. Lewis says God is building a house you didn't imagine because you didn't know it was possible. The pain isn't random, It's purposeful. But purpose doesn't make pain feel polite. Part 3. Why demolition feels like betrayal. Here's the emotional truth nobody likes to admit. Demolition feels personal. It feels like God crossed a line, like he touched something that was off limits. We usually find surrendering obvious sins. We struggle surrendering things that feel neutral or even good. Careers, reputations, roles we've built our sense of worth around. And when those things start to crumble, the instinctive response isn't worship, it's suspicion. This doesn't feel loving. This doesn't feel necessary. This isn't what I signed up for. But Lewis forces us to confront the harder question. What if the parts of your life you're most protective of are the very things preventing the house from standing? Look, God isn't cruel, but He is thorough. And thorough love doesn't stop at the surface. Part 4. The self God is replacing. This is where Lewis quietly dismantles the self help version of Christianity. God isn't trying to make the old self behave better, He's trying to replace it entirely. That's why Jesus talks about losing your life to find it. That's why Paul talks about dying daily. That's why Lewis says God intends to turn the house into something far larger than you expected. Not a cozy cottage, but a palace, one fit for a king. But palaces require foundations that can bear weight, and weak foundations must go. What feels like loss is often preparation. What feels like chaos is often alignment. God isn't erasing you, He's removing what can't survive the weight of glory. Part 5. What this means when faith hurts. So what do you do when faith hurts? First, you stop assuming pain equals failure. Some of the most spiritually meaningful moments feel like unraveling, not progress. Second, you resist the urge to rebuild what God is tearing down. That's the real temptation, to rush in and restore the familiar because the unfamiliar feels too exposed. And finally, you remember Lewis's quiet reassurance. God sees the whole structure, you only see the dust. The noise doesn't mean abandonment, it means construction is on the way. Okay, so here's my closing reflection on all of this. Lewis ends that passage by saying God is building something you would never have imagined, but that you will recognize in the end as far better than what you asked for. That requires trust, and trust is always learned under pressure. So maybe the question isn't, why does this feel like everything is falling apart? Maybe the better question is, what is God building that couldn't exist any other way? Because a faith that never shakes you is probably a faith that never changes you. Thanks for listening today. If anything I said resonated with you, hit like and subscribe. Maybe tell your friends about what you heard today. And remember, question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. I'll see you next time as we continue our journey through the insights of C.S. Lewis. Bye.
Every question is a doorway, every answer is a light. We're all searching for a meaning through the long and restless night. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Step beyond what feels certain, let your heart begin to see. It's the questions that awaken all we're meant to be. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Not every answer's found in the light. Sometimes it's the journey through the unknown that brings us home. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Not every answer is found in the light. Sometimes it's the journey through the unknown that brings us home. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Not every answer's found in the light. Sometimes it's the journey through the unknown that brings us home. Question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you.